Imagine if your family's entire budget suddenly changed. Something similar is happening right now on a global scale. Trump just claimed that the European Union was created to harm the United States, completely ignoring that the European project was actually supported by the US Marshall Plan. This radical shift in international relations could cost the European economy billions of euros. As you're watching this video, China is already offering Europe an alternative that could change the world's economy forever. The result? Cheaper products for you in the short term, but unpredictable consequences for the future. Did you know that the European Union could lose up to 200 billion euros if the trade war with the United States gets worse? This number isn't just some random figure. It represents about 1% of the entire European Union's economy. This is a hit that would directly affect millions of workers and businesses across Europe. The truth is, the relationship between the European Union and the United States is going through its roughest patch since the beginning of the 21st century. We could even say that things are more strained now than they were during Donald Trump's first term as president. And it's concerning when Trump has gone so far as to say that the European Union was created to screw over the United States. This statement completely goes against history. The United States was key in creating what we know today as the European Union through the Marshall Plan, which helped European countries get back on their feet after World War II. The European Union was born with direct support from Washington as a way to make sure there was peace and prosperity in Europe. However, that legacy of working together is now threatened by trade tensions that could undo decades of things being mutually beneficial. The European Union being left out of the peace negotiations in Ukraine isn't just a diplomatic insult. It's a clear sign of how Trump sees Europe, not as a partner, but as a competitor to be pushed aside. This exclusion is a direct economic threat to all of us. The numbers speak for themselves. In 2023, the European Union had a trade surplus of 157 billion euros with the United States. This trade relationship is vital for Europe. If those 25% tariffs become a reality, the impact would be devastating for exporting industries all over Europe. The uncertainty is already causing chaos in the economy. Businesses are holding back on investments, trade deals are put on hold, and planning for the future becomes impossible. How can you invest in exporting if tomorrow your products will cost 25% more? It's like building on quicksand. For decades, the transatlantic relationship has been a pillar of the global economy, creating millions of jobs on both sides of the Atlantic. The current policies are jeopardizing this stability that we took for granted. You'll see the impact reflected in the price of your car, your clothes, your appliances, and even your food. Tariffs will mean higher prices and fewer choices. And if you work in exporting, your job could be at risk. The breakdown of the traditional transatlantic alliance is a direct threat to your wallet, your job security, and the economic stability you've known. The world is changing at breakneck speed, and the tensions between the European Union and the United States are at the heart of this global transformation. If you're liking the video so far, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos. Let's continue. As Europe grapples with these global shifts, a giant on the other side of the world reaches out. The damage to your everyday finances isn't some far-off possibility. It's a mathematical certainty. With European exports to the US expected to drop by 15 to 17%, the things you use every day and the jobs that make them could change drastically very soon. The numbers are clear. If Trump slaps a 25% tariff on European goods, you'll feel it right in your wallet. Imagine your smartphone costing 200 euros more, or your weekly grocery bill going up by 50 euros. For Germany, this means cars like Volkswagens or BMWs could get so expensive in the US that thousands of jobs in European factories would be at risk. It's like dominoes. First exports fall, then jobs, then your spending power. As this door gradually closes, China opens another with open arms. Right now, China is already the biggest supplier of goods to the European Union, accounting for 21.3% of everything we import. The Asian giant now sees the perfect opportunity to strengthen these trade ties. Foreign Minister Wang Yi has openly said that China is ready to deepen economic cooperation with Europe. This message comes strategically as relations with the US deteriorate. What's more, China has invited the European Union to participate in negotiations on Ukraine, offering what Trump has denied us. Trade between the European Union and China reached a whopping $762 billion in 2024. When you walk into a store, more than half of the electronics you see come from China. 55% of our imports from China are machinery and electrical equipment. while we mainly sell them vehicles. Trump's tariffs will affect your everyday life in concrete ways. In the short term, you'll see everyday products go up in price, especially those with parts that move between Europe and the US. It's like suddenly there's a toll on a road that was always free. Someone has to pay that extra cost. For you as a European citizen, this means tangible changes. European companies will shift their supply chains towards Asia to survive, which could make some products cheaper but lead to job losses in sectors focused on the US market. Tariffs are a material reality that will directly impact your purchasing power, while China is emerging as an increasingly attractive alternative for European companies seeking new markets. How does Europe navigate between two economic superpowers? Europe is caught in a geopolitical tug of war. On one side, the US threatens tariffs. On the other, China extends a hand with trade promises. This situation is exposing internal divisions among European countries who can't agree on a way forward. Germany has strong reasons to maintain good relations with Beijing. As the main European exporter to China, its automotive giants depend heavily on the Asian market. German vehicles are more common on Chinese roads than on American ones, which explains why Germany pushes for a more independent policy towards the Asian giant. Spain follows a similar path. The Spanish government seeks a direct relationship with China without US influence, especially to protect its pork exports, a vital sector for its economy. If these exports were interrupted, thousands of Spanish farmers would suffer serious economic consequences. The European Union is already taking steps to protect itself. In 2023, it approved the anti-coercion instrument, a tool that goes beyond simple tariffs. This mechanism allows Europe to respond with specific trade restrictions when other countries use economic pressure as a weapon. For example, it could limit Chinese investments in strategic European sectors if Beijing tries to force political decisions through commercial pressure. The EU seeks its own strategic autonomy. It doesn't want to be overly dependent on either the United States or China, especially in technology and energy. This strategy seems like the only viable one in the long term, although implementing it is complicated with so many internal divisions. The differences between member states are clear. While some favor closer ties with China, others prefer to maintain their historical alignment with the United States. These fractures weaken Europe's ability to act as one. Despite the tensions, Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, talks about de-risking the relationship with China. It's not about cutting ties, but rebalancing them. Even amidst these turbulent times, there is room for new agreements that could benefit both sides. The European strategy seeks to build true strategic autonomy to defend its own interests and values, without becoming a pawn in the superpower's chess game. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos. Let's continue. What would happen if the consequences of Europe getting closer to China, Europe's search for strategic autonomy, could completely change your everyday life? Imagine waking up in a world where Chinese products flood European markets at really low prices, while entire industries in your city slowly disappear. This shift towards the Asian giant would directly affect your wallet and your job. Think about Maria, a mom who manages to buy a new smartphone for half the price thanks to lower taxes on goods from China. With the money she saves, she can pay for music lessons for her daughter. If the European Union strengthens its trade ties with China, your electronics would be much cheaper. Can you imagine a future where what seems like a relief in prices today turns into job uncertainty tomorrow? If you work in sectors like the car industry, you could benefit a lot. Pedro, an engineer in a car factory in Valencia, sees his company double production to meet the new demand from China, increasing his salary by 20%. European companies in these sectors would have access to millions of new Chinese customers. What would happen to your job if your company suddenly had access to 1.4 billion potential customers? However, other industries would suffer. Anna, who has been working in a textile factory for 15 years, gets laid off because her company can't compete with the low prices from China. If your job is in industries like textiles or electronics manufacturing, competition could put your job at risk. There is also a fundamental dilemma. Are you willing to buy cheaper products knowing that they come from a country with different values than European ones? It's like choosing between your favorite brand and a new one that offers the same thing for less, but whose ethical practices you question. Safety is also a concern. If Europe moves away from the United States to get closer to China, who would guarantee its safety? Imagine relying on an app on your phone for everything, from paying for groceries to opening your front door. But that app is controlled by a foreign government. Would you feel safe? It's not all risks though. Working with China on challenges like climate change could create opportunities. Your small solar panel business could grow thanks to cheaper and more efficient Chinese technology. European companies could also find new markets for their products, especially in sectors like luxury goods or gourmet food, where Europe has competitive advantages. What we're seeing isn't just a diplomatic situation, it's a huge opportunity for Europe. The EU is moving towards self-reliance, with plans to deal with economic pressure from outside. This independent path means building up the ability to stand up for European interests without being under anyone else. The real question is, are we, the citizens, ready for this new way of thinking? Your own financial future is directly tied to this change. Like a bridge being made stronger before a storm, Europe needs to get ready now to negotiate from a position of strength. Should the EU stick with its old alliances, or is it time to be independent? Think about it. How will this affect your own wallet and job? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos.